Hey everybody, wrong camera. Hey everybody, try it again. Oh, I gotta turn my voice off so I can hear myself. Welcome to the Binary Ninja live stream. I am Jordan Wines, and I'm apparently off my game today. Welcome back for another issue of What's Up with Ninja, I guess. We're gonna start right off the bat. I want to show something nifty because, you probably are familiar with the fact that we have two different channels on Binary Ninja. We have. Am I showing the right one still? No, I'm still showing the wrong one. I don't know what I'm doing here. Um, you're probably familiar with the fact that we have both our stable channel, which has releases that come out usually about once a quarter and is much more thoroughly tested and kind of doesn't change as often. And we save new features to have had some time to kind of bake before we put them on the stable. And then the dev branch, which is where all of our like new features and kind of up to the minute bug fixes land. So we also have another branch called a test branch, which is really just for internal features. It's where things are working on that are like really broken that we don't want to put into dev, or things that we know need work or iterating, or just for sharing with other folks inside the company. But so really early looks at features will live there. And one of the things I want to do on stream is I want to show off some of this. So this is, and this time I'm going to remember to start recording on my OBS. So this is a test branch, right? So I'm looking at Binary Ninja. You notice like the version number doesn't really line up with anything else because it only exists on the test branch. And this one in particular has a nifty new feature, and it's a whole kind of suite of associated features that are coming down the pike. Don't know exactly when. Oh, that's a neat little visual glitch. Um, we don't know exactly when they're gonna land. It would be nice if they could be a Christmas present coming before the end of the year, but we'll see. It'll be done when it's done. But the idea is that if I go to the types view, and so I can hit T to go there, or of course I could Control P and types and do it that way. And I'm looking at all the types for a particular binary. It would be really nice if I could find all the cross references to those types. And now you can. So if I select the header here, you'll see we've actually got a new section, the elf header. We can select these children of that, and we can select, oh, here is version. Version shows up in both of those. It's not necessarily the same one. Ident is a good one, right? So ident shows up in both the elf header, and we can apply these data types to random things inside the binary and actually get cross references to those as well. So I apologize, I don't have a better demo. I meant to get something a little bit better for this, so we can try to do this on stream. Welcome, Marcus. How's it going? Yeah, Levin. All right. Yeah, I like the eyes. Hopefully, I didn't like overpromise. I want to like tease a little bit, but I don't want to. So let's take a look at one of these types. Or actually, let's maybe just make a new one. So if I'm like in binary view or linear view, and I want to just make a new structure at one of these locations. Let's create a new, so let's actually do this. Let's do view or window, split to new window. And oh, do I know how to do this in my window manager? I'm just gonna do it this way. We're gonna flip this one over to type view, and we'll leave this one linear view. And I'm just going to insert a new structure. We're gonna call it foo, and we're gonna make it 32 bytes. And then we're going to give it, select all of these, and we're going to make those 1 byte, but then make an array. And then we're going to make this, let's see, a 1 byte. I want to make that one of the other types, or do I want to make a different struct? Yeah, see, I'm just making random stuff. Let's call this stir, and we're going to give this a couple of 4 byte fields. And then we'll make these, is that one? No, I didn't do a very good even amount, did I? Yeah, that'll make them 8 or 4. Okay, we'll make it 8 and 64. So this is foo, and I can make foo be here. And so now the interesting part should be if I, let's see, check for, so you need to be able to resize these better. Let me move this to, let's do here. Let's move this to 4, move this to 3. There we go. Okay, so I've got my type foo, and we can actually see we've got a data reference to it. So we've actually got an instance of where type foo is used, which is cool. And we should likewise, we should see the members of it are actually accessed over here. And if we'd see them using code too, right? We would also see, so let's see, if we go back here and copy address, and let's do something, let's do something terrible to this and flip over to assembly. And oh, I'm looking at, what even is this? Yeah, this is some ARM code. Let's see, I don't even know how to load a pointer into our, well, this is currently pointing to this address. So if I offset it, let's see. So actually, let's go here. Let's switch over to linear view and let's find our, where do we put our foo? Let's see, foo. I called it text of foo. All right, so we put it the wrong spot. Let's actually put this at something smaller so we can reference it directly off that other pointer, which we saw was closed, right? So let's just take this thing here, C0. There we go. We'll make that a foo. So now we've got a foo structure here, which, and we should see, if we go over to types view and we go to where did our foo go? It was below and I went past it. We should now have 2 references. Yep. All right. And if we want to look at our code, so that one function is over here, the code that we had, yeah, we've actually got a reference to data. This is it. So I should be able to, let's see, can I edit this? Let's see, what's this do? I just make it that. Oh no, that's a list. It's a table of pointers. So, oh, there we go. Okay, so I can add this pointer at this address to put that address, right? So let's see. Can I paste? Oh, it's going to paste this text. Okay, so paste raw hex. No, that's not going to be what I want, is it? Yeah, that's, I actually want to do this in hex editor mode. Hex editor. Oh, no, let's do this. This is something else I learned recently. View in hex editor or hit H, and that'll keep me at my addresses, right? And so let's see. My offset was, I changed it. I didn't want to make it C0. So I made, where do those addresses go? Yeah, to C0. So view in hex editor to 0 C0, right? And that should get us the pointer we want. And so now we've got a reference to that. So R3, yep, we've got a data reference to struct foo. So now we should actually have a new reference. So if we come over to our type, morning, Brinley. Oh, Brinley, you are up early. Thanks for joining us. It's a weekend over there too, down in Australia. And we should be able to select foo. And you see we've actually got a reference there, right? So when you've got types that are referred, you can even, and this is where I'm not going to be as good at showing this off, but we can even make a new structure, and we'll call it bar. Oops, I forgot to make it that right size. That's fine. And we're going to add a foo blah into here. And so we can actually now put a bar in the middle of our code. And then we should actually have a, or let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let us, is this where, I don't remember if this works. Can we edit this and do like pad? Okay, cool. So we can just add the padding there. All right. Okay. So 9 a.m. is not too bad. Yeah. I can never tell with like the time zone changes if we're like exactly how far we're off, but yeah. So wake up, get your coffee, and get your binge live stream. There we go. All right, so now we've got our bar type, and if I go back to just anywhere here in the data section, and we're going to say, let's actually change the type of this from a foo to, oh, it's giving me the char, the first one. Yeah, there's the selection doesn't work as well there. Let's do this one, and we're going to make this a bar. So we should have both bar, and then we've got our foo. So now we've got a structure that's a member of another structure, And so now what we want to see is, because we've added the bar one, let's go look at our foo cross references, right? And what we want to see is that foo should be, the bars up here, foo should be down here in our, I should have chosen a non-L file because all these default, oh, is it higher up? Where did my foo go? I think, can I type here? Yeah, I guess I can search. So I can search in the types view. That would have been the way to go. It'd be nice if we could filter it. So anyways, so now we've actually got, let's look at our cross references down here. Right, so we've got, and you'll notice like this little bug here where it's like foo is basically a reference to itself. That's just a bug that's going to go away. Those will be cleaned up before this lands on dev. It's one of the reasons that it's not yet done. But the nice thing is you'll notice that you've got a reference where, so bar, because it has a member that's of type foo, it's a struct foo, we've actually got a reference there. And we've also got these data references to that too. So this is just it's a much nicer way to cross-reference between types. Some of the caveats I wrote down the list. So Shusheng is working on this particular feature, and a couple things that do not work currently. Filtering is just totally broken right now. So like none of the usual filtering stuff that work with the cross references view work currently on these type references yet. So he's got some improvements to go there. Same thing with like pinning. So like if I'm on a regular dev build with Binja, and I pick up the cross references to something, I can hit Shift X and I can pin those list of cross references to like, navigate through later. Those pinned cross references don't work at all with this current dev build, right? So that's another one of the features that are still in development. And then I think, oh yeah, there's another small bug that you can't navigate from, like if you're currently in the type list and you select, I'm going to find bar actually, right? So where did bar go? Bar was up here. That's right here. If I select foo and I can see, actually, can I? Yeah, so I can double click foo, but if I know foo is a member of bar and I get it from here, it takes me to, you'll notice it didn't take me to the type reference. It took me to a data reference to that one, right? So when I double click there, where you really want it to go is you would want this to take you to the bar type in the type viewer. You don't want it to take you to data references. You would expect that if you selected a data reference, then you would expect it to go here. But navigation, otherwise normal navigation works. So again, that's just kind of a feature is being plumbed through. Welcome. How's it going, Valgrand? So yeah, so I like, this is going to be really nice. The other key feature that's going to be coming as a part of this as well in this, and this, there'll probably be like 2 or 3 kind of commits that'll land on dev, so you'll be able to try this feature as it lands. And then there's some other enhancements that we want to do. So for example, more details about these types of references, whether they're reads or writes, and some other details, indirect or direct references, are going to be shown in the view just to really kind of like add some more detailed information. But we'll probably get like just the feature working minus the bugs that I showed off briefly. And once we've got those kind of ironed out, then it'll land, and then we'll probably add some more enhancements to it. Those will probably land. That's my guess anyway. You never know for certain. And then the next bit of business that's coming is also going to be variable cross references, right? So if you're in a function and you've got a variable like a local stack variable in that function, seeing all those cross references as well. That's another often requested feature, and that's also coming in the next stable release. That's as a part of this sort of feature that we're working on with that. So that's a pretty cool usability improvement. I really think that'll be super nice. And if you guys have feedback on that after it lands on dev, as always, let us know. And yeah, all right. So I have a couple other any questions from chat while I'm. Oh, I forgot to get my water too. Let me go over and grab my water bottle. Otherwise, I'll lose my voice. I always talk too much. Yes, that is exactly what is coming, right? So if I've got a structure like foo that I've created and applied, I've got type references to it now. All right, so you can see over here, I've got not only type references from other types, but then also from wherever that variable is referenced. So, and actually, I think I've got a what was the other one? So that's like a data reference, but there was another one I made. I made like a little code reference to it as well. Or was it to bar? Still one of them. I don't remember which. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we haven't yet invented the time machine functionality in Binja, so you get that. Um, so AI fam, just two things to note. One is we've actually got cloud, which is free. If I can spell it right. So you don't get some of the features, but you can totally get high level IL and decompilation and all that right from the cloud version of Binja for free. And if you have, or if you're a full time student, we have a like 75% discount. So it's really heavily discounted for students. And if you go to our fact.binary.ninja, some more information there. So we do what we can to try to make it affordable to everybody. We couldn't fund a company at student discounted licenses, so that's why it's like a big discount for students. But then the commercial price is a little bit more. But yeah, we're trying to make it affordable, but it is what it is. So okay, yeah. So I'm trying to remember if I should call people their handles or it's a Red Nova, Red Nove. I don't know how do we pronounce that. What's the correct pronunciation of that one? Yeah, this structure cross references is gonna be pretty nice. So that's coming really nice. Yeah, let me go get my water. And you guys, well, I'm gonna go get my water. You guys get a sip of water while you're at it. I realize that, which is why I was about to call you by your real name, Endeavor, but I guess I could just say Endeavor. In fact, well, long story about that. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's gone on YouTube. All right, let me get my water. I'll be right back. You can tell I have an 11-year-old when I go out there and say I've got to get water for the stream, and they're like, "We're having water too," and I was like, "You're eating hot chocolate," and he's like, "There's water in it." Like, yes. Your birth name of Endeavor. That's right. Drink up. Everybody drink your water. I did bubble mine. I like the fizzies. I always lose my voice if I'm not doing something like this. So, all right. And they'll keep from spilling it on stream like I did before. So, yeah, that's the new type cross references. And then shortly coming after that, type structure cross references. Shortly coming after that is going to be variable cross references for inside of function variables. I think those are going to be super nice. So, there we go. Good cuppa. Yeah. I could go. Well, I already had my drink of my chai. So I had a chai with milk to start the stream. That's where I get my caffeine. But all right. Next up on the list, and it's worth pointing out too, that if you guys have ideas for things that you think we should be doing on stream, please, like, by all means, bring them up. It's meant to be interactive. That's the goal. Oh, sorry, fam. Yeah, so like we debated that, but the choice was, do we lose money and release the decompiler? Do we make it a separate paid add-on so that some people have the decompiler and some people don't? Do we raise the base price? Do we, so we debated a lot of it, and decided in the end that we wanted to like keep everybody with the same tool set. We really like the idea that like any plugin on Binja, if it's not a headless plugin, can work on every product, right? And so when you write a plugin, you've got access to the full high-level IL decompile information on any platform. I think that's a really nice thing, but it did mean that we sort of decided to raise the base price for everybody. So that was the downside. That was a trade-off. So yeah, there's no way to make it perfect for everyone. It's always gonna be too expensive for somebody, and somebody else is like, I would have paid double that. you would think that no one would say that. We were surprised actually when we first launched Binja how many people are like, you guys are undercharging. You should charge more. We actually heard that a fair amount. Not that they were asking us to raise it. They were just like, as friends, like we could totally afford it. It's worth more than that for us. There's always going to be different price points that people are okay with. So, yeah. All right. Let's check out the next thing I want to do. So I made some bookmarks in this VM throughout the week of stuff I wanted to cover. Here is an old throwback. This actually is a really old tweet from almost 6 years ago, or almost 5 years ago, from Jared, who was one of my old teammates on Team Last Place. And somebody recently liked this tweet, and so it showed up in my timeline again. It's like necro posting, and I was reminded like this was our CTF shirt. I think our second year at DEF CON as a team. And I was like, oh, I think I wrote that shellcode. What did that shellcode do? And I had forgotten it. So I wanted to show off like this little, so I just, typed up obviously in the bytes, and this is sort of was my workflow for analyzing it in Binary Ninja, which I think is uniquely suited towards really quick slicing and dicing and stuff like this. So let's get our bytes, A, B, D0, CD, AD, EB, FA. All right, so those are bytes. And we're going to, actually, before I forget, I'm going to close out the test version of Binja. And we'll go back to dev. All right, so we're going to paste from raw hex, which will literally just take those hex bytes. And we can already see we've got a pwn string somewhere in here. So some of you may have already been... I bet the accounts person was also happy that they could just like put a credit card out online, and like you got an email immediately. That's the other nice advantage of our purchasing process. So I just pasted the shellcode in here directly. It's obviously shellcode, right? If you just sort of looked at it, you should be able to observe that it's probably going to be x86. You'll see like a CD80 for an interrupt. You'll see this DB68 is a push, or DB is a push of the pwn string here. So if we actually just hit P on it, the only question is it 32-bit or 64-bit? And knowing the context that it was written in 2016, like we might guess that it's 32-bit. And so we can just hit P to create a function there, treat as x86. Let's try Linux, because that seems likely. Actually, it seems very likely when we see this the CD80. And let's take a look at it. Oh, and the funny thing was too, I was really curious, like what did high level IL do with this? And it actually does. So it picks up that it's a syscall, but it doesn't know what the syscall is, even though EX is set here, because it's in a while loop, right? So this while loop is going to throw out the data flow. Oh, the dropdown. See, and by the way, this is why we're doing these streams. This is exactly why we're doing these streams, because everybody has different workflows. All right, so let me recreate this. Paste from raw hex. And you can, from this point, you can either right click and choose make function at this address, x86 Linux, right? And create it that way. Or I can hit P and then I can choose it from there. Oh, this one? Oh, wait, Command P. Oh man, that's the command palette. I use it every day. Command palette's the best. If that's what you're talking about, we say how to get the command bar. Yeah, or on a Mac, it's Command P, Control P on a Linux. Sorry, I think I said Command, but I'm using Linux. It's Control P. Yeah, the command palette, raw hex. Like, so I had this discussion on stream earlier. One of these weeks, I'm gonna work on rewriting my right-click menu and probably show off some Binja source, because our right-click menu is an abomination to mankind. Like, it is gross, and I feel bad. We should feel bad. And so we need to reorganize this. And but part of the reason I don't notice is because I just use everything from that menu. Like I don't use the file menus, I don't use any of that stuff. I just use command palette. And because it does things like it remembers your last command that you've typed, because it shows you if you've got key bindings, what the key bindings are for those commands, it helps you kind of like learn hotkeys. It's so nice. Yeah. So anyways, that's the command palette. And I like once a week, I guarantee you, somebody on stream is going to be like, "Wait, what was that? How did you do that?" Because it is like the most. Actually, is there even a menu for that? Yeah, okay, so it's an under view command palette. Good, because we do want to make it discoverable, but it doesn't matter. There's always new things to learn. Um, so we use Qt because there's a bunch of stuff you get for free with Qt with like window management, window drop downs. It means that when people write like UI plugins, like people want to write third-party plugins. Actually, do I have any like snippets? Did I disable that? Oh, I think I disabled snippets. Snippets. Yeah, enable as snippets. So like my snippet editor, I've got some simple UIs, right? So I don't know what this is going to do right now, right? So like you get a bunch of like sort of free like UI functionality that you can implement with Qt with like PySide or PyQt. And so there's just a lot of advantages to be able to using a library like that. And the downside is then we sort of have to track Qt releases. So in fact, like right now, we've been done with an M1 port for Apple's new chip for Binary Ninja for a couple weeks now, but we're waiting on Qt and PySide. So because we're kind of stuck based on versions, that's like the downside is that we have to track Qt versions. But like honestly, no, like WX, like no, not a good choice. And doing a whole like UI framework from scratch for 3 platforms, right? That's the other key thing. The fact that we want to release the same thing on all 3 platforms and maintaining consistency, that's way more work than we would do. Yeah, Swing Java would be like the other way to do it. Um, hey Nick, I won't tow you. We've never towed in there. I wish we towed in that lot. Well, back when we were actually in our office, we've been working from home for like 9 months now. Um, but I miss you, Nick. Someday we'll see everyone in person again. Um, but yeah, no, I mean to me, I think Qt is like the only logical choice. I really don't even think it's a question. The only slight consideration we had was should we move to Electron at some point? And I know a lot of people were like freaking out and worried that we would do that and performance would be awful. But I think Visual Studio Code has demonstrated you can build uh, a decent cross-platform UI based app that's not awful for performance and build it on Electron. But in the end, we didn't, and we were already C++, right? Too. That was the other reason. Um, so yeah, that's a good question too. Binary Ninja Cloud is basically a Django Python front end. So the nifty thing is that Binary Ninja, even though like it's C++ and the core is C++ and the UI is C++, there is a C API that does more things than you would think about. So a good example is the under the public repo under the examples folder in Python, there is a export SVG plugin, and it will export the current binary view graph that you've got. Also, before I lose my raw, do I still have my buffer? I do. This is Linux. Okay, so whatever your current graph is, it will export as an SVG, right? And it only can do this so easily because oh wow, it actually does all the different ILs too now. It can only do this so easily because the actual graph layout is done in the core. Like this is like 50% CSS, right? The actual color schemes and codes is like the biggest part of that. The rest is boilerplate SVG because the actual layout of edges and where the basic blocks are is entirely done in the core. So to do a whole new UI, I mean, the one hand, it's a lot of work to get everything. This is why Cloud lacks a lot of the niceties that the native client has, but to get like a relatively simple version up was surprisingly easy. You get a decent web UI, you could like throw another UI in front of it. No. So one of the reasons we didn't use WASM, I mean, we have done some stuff like that. So actually, as like a kind of side project, Rusty built Sorcery, which is actually Rust compiled to WebAssembly with like STL libraries. It includes like sound and the whole game engine. So and I made Vim mode, so I gotta remember to like insert. Yeah. So this is all like native code written in Rust STL graphics that is then compiled down natively to WebAssembly, and it's surprisingly performant. So we certainly could have done something like that for cloud, but there's a couple of issues with it. One is then you're essentially shipping the client the entire binary. Um, and so the point of cloud is to let people use Binary Ninja in exchange for their data. It's not to just give everyone a free copy of Binary Ninja. They can take and do whatever they want with. And so we definitely had to keep as much of the analysis as possible, like in the core. Um, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just there's too much work to building a cross-platform um, uh, native UI for us to want to do that. All right, so and keep the questions coming. By the way, I love getting sidetracked. I'm easily sidetracked like squirrel, but I like getting side questions and seeing where things are going. So oh, for cloud, yeah. So we've got for the web UI, I assume you mean. Yeah. Binary Ninja Cloud, part of the reason that we have several different purposes. One of which is we're actually doing some work in like machine learning approaches to understanding like an automating reverse engineering. And like any bit of machine learning, you need a good training set. And other than like taking a bunch of binaries with symbols and stripping them and being like, that's your training set, here's with and without symbols, train your stuff on that, which is what everyone does when they want to collect a corpus of binaries. We have like one of the world's only decent collections of manually annotated reverse engineering artifacts from like what people have actually done with reverse engineering based on the cloud data. So that was kind of our main goal, was to like build up new features. Eventually, we plan to do some stuff uh, like automate like do like A/B testing. Like we've got a new UI design, we want to test like two different layouts. We'll like put them both on cloud and then like survey people and be like, hey, which did you like better? Or, like, or how did you like this? And we could do like some stuff like that, but we haven't yet. Eventually, we'd like to. You're not A/B tested yet, Levin. We're not currently A/B testing people in cloud, but we'd like to. I think it would be a nice thing to do, and I feel like that's sort of a really nice trade-off. Like you can help us improve and build a product. In fact, actually, at some point, we plan to have a plugin you can add to Binary Ninja, or a setting where you can opt into sending us information about your command palette usage or action system usage, and then we can be able to like tell like when features are and aren't utilized. And so we might find out, hey, no one's actually using the assemble box or the patch or whatever UI feature that we've implemented. Maybe we need to do a better job advertising it, or maybe there's a bug or people don't use it. We need to look into more of the usability. So we might make that like an optional thing. It's Crown Sterling. No, man, they've got their own coin. They don't need us anymore, right? No, they just launched a cryptocurrency. So no data. Facebook doesn't get the data. I mean, if they wanted to license it and they have some reverse engineering use for it, like I'm not saying we wouldn't. I mean, that's what it's for. But don't put sensitive stuff on cloud. But other than that, put all your CTF binaries, put all of your like stuff that we can build like cooler automation with. All right, so back to ICANN has tokens, right? So this is the code, and we can just looking at the assembly, obviously we can see we're gonna push. I'm gonna hit R to turn that into characters, and we're gonna see it's like pwn new line, which you could kind of see already in the string when we were looking at earlier. And then we're moving some values into other registers, and we've got like we're zeroing EBX, and then we're setting other things based on it, 4 into EAX and then 1 into EBX. And this was me at like my teenage hacking years. I wasn't actually a teenager at this time, but like I acted like it with my shell coding. It was like the most concise shell code I could possibly think of to like fit on a shirt. And then it just is going to rewrite EDX, because I think is it EDX, or it should be. Oh yeah, that's right. This is so dirty. So the reason this works is because the syscall for write is 4, and the fact that the length of the or the return value of write is the number of bytes it wrote. So if you write 4 bytes, you can keep calling syscall again, and it will still have 4 in it as long as you don't get an error. So I thought that was overly clever myself. But the problem is the funny thing is, I was going to mention, is that Binge's analysis doesn't look as pretty as it could because of that, though, right? Because this is in a loop. The data flow analysis doesn't try to track things through loops for a lot of reasons, and like a lot of program analysis reasons. That's dangerous territory, especially when you're going to kind of do it by default. And so we don't do that. And so that's why it just says like this is a syscall. We don't know which one, but we do actually when we're reversing it because we can see this loop isn't doing anything. And so if we wanted to actually fix that, we could just edit this this jump to make it a nop, and it will just blow through here. So I hit E and type nop and hit enter, and now if I go to high level IL, I actually get like the syscall that it is, and then I even get the like the full inlined, pretty decompilation essentially of what this like random shellcode was, right? So I thought that was kind of a fun trick to use Binja to analyze this old t-shirt. Oh, where'd it go? That's in bookmarks somewhere. ICANN has token. Yeah, this one. ICANN has token. So yeah, it's shellcode that prints pwn over and over, and you don't even have to be able to read shellcode anymore because Binja's like and again, the nice thing about Binja is I don't need to like make a raw file, empty stuff in. I can literally just paste the bytes, and I can do it from hex, and then I can disassemble it in a single hotkey, and then I can remove that loop, and all of a sudden I've even got decompilation on it, right? Which I think is pretty cool. So, all right. Any other questions? I'm going too fast through my to-do list of topics. Oh, Endeavor, good call. Yeah, so maybe it does actually track. Let's undo those. It knows that EBX is 1. It's just because I'm being way too clever. And yeah, so like if, for example, if I did something different, like if I added into like here, we could do this right instead. Like, so what if we assembled move EDX, EX. Well, yeah, I want the jump to, that's fine. The jump will still, if we do a negative jump, we'll fix it up. All right, so move EDX, EX, and then, actually, yeah, to move, what am I not using? So let's move 4 into ESI into 4. And then if I just move ESI into AX, I don't know, I'm overly thinking this. It doesn't matter, but yeah, exactly. I think you're right. That's why I'm losing it, because it can't emulate syscalls essentially. Yeah. And obviously the first time through it does know it, so that's why when I nop that out. Oh, and by the way, too, the other thing I like is even at high level IL, where'd it go? High level IL, can I get rid of the while true? I think I might be able to just hit delete. Oh no, I deleted too much because it's folded into it. But if I hit medium level IL on that go to, I can hit delete, because I currently have, that's one of my favorite little simple things. Patch to convert to nop and patch to never branch. I map to the delete key. Oh, Josh, you missed it. Okay, I got to go back for Josh, guys. I can't let him miss out on this. All right, so really quick, here was the new feature that we showed off. I mean, you already saw the commit message, I think. So you sort of knew what was coming, right? But the new feature is we've got type references coming along. My days, my days of finding browser Ode are long past. You know, I'm a has-been at bug finding. Yeah, feel free to ask me to cover stuff again. So the short summary is, we now have type references in this. This is a test branch build that I'm running here, and it's build 2126. There are a few lucky people in the chat who may have access to this test build on this license key, and this box ironically does not. But yeah, 2126 if you want to play. And if you would like access to our super secret test builds to play around with, write lots of plugins, do lots of blog posts, get friendly with Vector 35, and we do let some people have access to super secret test builds. The only reason it's not more generally available is that they are often very buggy, intentionally so. Yeah, step one is generally be Josh. That's a pretty good technique. So from the types view, if I add a structure foo and I make it 32 bytes, and then I add a structure baz and I make it 8 bytes, and then I make baz like just, I don't know, like 2D words, and then wrong one. Control F foo. Wait, where's the types view? Control F foo, and then I make foo. I put in 8, and then a baz, and then I make this and an array of whatever. So I've got foo and baz, and then if I go to my linear view, where's feature map? Where did feature map go? It says it's showing. Feature map, close it. Feature map. There we go. I think it's my window manager and the way I'm messing with this tiling window manager. Okay, so I could set my foo was the parent. Was it foo or was it? Yeah, so foo. So we'll make that a foo. Now I've got like the data decomposed to go like baz side of it. And then if I'm on the type and I want to find references, and even neater, Control T, Control F, baz. And I go to the baz structure, I'll see the reference to the foo because baz is a child of it. And so I'll actually see where baz is referenced inside of foo. Ooh. Right? So that's the, global cross references of type fields, right? So structure members and structures, have global references too. Yeah. Really short summary of the caveats are that like, it's not the reason it's not a dev yet is because filtering is still broken, pinning is still broken. There's these extra references here that need to go away. And once that stuff is all fixed, it'll land on dev. Then there'll be another round of iterations where it's going to be adding more detail. So you'll actually get stuff like, is it a read? Is it a write? Is it direct, indirect reference? How's the reference calculated? And then the next feature set landing on dev after that is going to be variable cross references inside of a function. So you'll actually get variable cross references. Not this is data cross references are obviously already a thing. So pick a variable. Where's variable? Where really there's no variables. Cool. How am I picking? There's only global data references in this binder. It's because it's firmware. Here. Let's do this. There's a variable, right? So getting variable cross references is then coming. Yeah, I mean you still get variables in disassembly, but anyway. Oh, and the other one. Oh, right. Yeah, there's no stack variables. There really isn't any stack variables here. But anyway, right. So like stack variables. Yeah. Right. And there just isn't. I don't know. That's a good question. If it have actually, if Peter's on, I don't know if he's listening. He's been working with Shusheng more closely on that. Shusheng is certainly still sleeping, so otherwise he'd answer. There we go. But again, that feature doesn't exist at all yet. That's being developed. Yeah. So both of those are coming. Hopefully around the new year. We'll see. Here we go. Yeah. So that's good news. That's exciting. Cool feature. That's the sneak peek. And then I was just showing off the just a little snippet of. Oh wait, which window is this? Oh right, I split the window. Just disassembling some shellcode because I thought that was a super clean workflow. All right, let's see. This is the other thing that I wanted to play with on stream. if y'all are up for watching me bumble together and you wanna do a little collaborative coding. So this was a plugin that I saw released for IDA just this last week. And I thought, oh, that looks like a neat list of things to calculate in Binja. Because I think that the way that you do it in Binja is super clean, it's super easy. So what we'll probably do is first we'll implement this as just a really simple markdown report because that's faster and easier. And if y'all want to see me fumble with some Qt and try to implement like an actual table, I can try it, but I won't be able to finish that on stream probably because I'm not a good Qt programmer. This is why I get to do the streams and everybody else gets to build Binja. I am not the Qt person, but I play with it a little bit. So let's start working on a function scanner. We'll call it something different. That's their name for it. But let's make a let's see, Visual Studio Code. Actually, here let's actually have snippets. I think I already have snippets here. Snippets. We're going to call this one function table or function info. And let's see. Clean up some stuff that's left over. Bycache. All right. Okay. So this is, we'll worry about the plugin.json later. If we actually release it as a real plugin, we'll see. Okay. So this is going to be right now, just let's pull up the Binja API docs. We're going to want some of these. And we're going to be making a report. So let's do show markdown report and then markdown tables. I think just pipes, right? Or how you do tables. Let's go to table. Commands. There's some hotkey that I type from my Mac that I keep trying to do that is wrong. And so I got to break that habit. But all right. So we're going to be given a binary view. We're going to just use the register. We're going to simplify this. We don't need any of this stuff. Oh, actually, yeah, we're going to want... that's actually bad. Let's pull this from dwarf input. And I think this one has a real, yeah. This one has a real import that we can steal. All right, so, and sure, we'll use that convention. So we're going to call this our function table and display table of function information. And we're not going to pass an is valid. We're just always going to take any binary view. That optional thing at the end is a nice little callback if you want to have your plugin only apply to certain situations. You can specify that there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, multi-threading is because we just had to draw the line somewhere. We felt like if it was the exact same product, we'd have a whole bunch of companies just like buying it and ignoring our license terms probably. And so we wanted to have some features that only exist. In fact, we used to actually have another feature. We used to have caching of analysis data, but that got to be too arbitrary and too annoying, so we added it to personal as well. So the main reason too that we did that, and this was a very conscious choice, was that personal was very similar to IDA. In that regard, right? Like it didn't have a true headless processing because the Qt libraries are always loaded no matter what. And it had single threading, which again, IDA is also single threaded in its analysis. So we thought like, look, personal is actually kind of the same as IDA. That was the other part of our rationale for that. Not to say it couldn't change. In fact, one of our long-term goals is to release new features for commercial and then like add on like maybe multi-threading, for example. Probably not headless, but probably multi-threading would be the next one. Once commercial gets some other new feature suite some newer advanced feature that personal doesn't yet have. And then eventually we'll do another new feature, and then we'll trickle down like another one into personal. So that's kind of like the long-term plan. Func info and def function info. I'm not doing any of the new Python 3 type annotations yet. I probably should, but it's a habit I'm not in yet. All right, so we're gonna register our FuncTable plugin, and just to get this kind of kicked off, let's do show markdown report. And I will notice this is actually kind of an interesting distinction. If you search for like the show report APIs, there's actually two different ones, and it's very intentional. I think hopefully the docs mentioned this now. Because yeah, there's the one API is the interaction API, which just opens up like Markdown and renders it, which is it's a nice useful feature. But if you call the version that lives off the binary view module in particular, then you get the ability to link back into things from the binary view. And since we're making a table that's going to list functions, like we definitely want that version of it. We don't want our like table to be independent. So that's kind of a subtle difference that is documented here, because I think we've added that because that was an important thing that people didn't always realize. So it's title, contents, and then you can specify an alternate plain text, right? So ooh, where's my, I don't know how to copy and paste in Linux. Come on, what am I doing? Try this. How can I middle click? Control V, Control Shift V? Wait, there we go. Okay, I don't know what I did, but something eventually pasted text. All right, so here's a simple markdown report, and we're gonna test this out with BV, right? Because we're gonna associate this with a binary view eventually. Show markdown reports. Wait, actually, yeah, I'm wondering, I should be using Visual Studio Code so I actually get completion stuff, but that's all right. Information. The purple is, yeah, it's not a great theme, is it? Let's just do this. Okay. How did I do the wrong? Really? Okay. Oh, 5, and add a folder. Dev. Wow, thanks for showing all the folders there. At least that's an annoying default. Func info, add. All right. Let me know if the font, I'll crank it up a little bit. Let me know if that's easier to read. That it's got orange isn't great, but that's easier to change in here. Sweet. All right. Thank you for mentioning that. All right. So reports, and then what was our last option? Plain text. Yeah, which is fine. Like we can 5. We need to report as well, right? So this won't matter for the way that we're using it, but the nice thing is the interaction APIs actually fall back nicely on text editing. So like if you run the same plugin like via headless, obviously you wouldn't do the UI registers here, but like you could take in a file on a command line and then parse it. They'll output all the APIs will still just work. Like if you're doing a bunch of like direct Qt, it won't, but all the other interaction APIs work directly with both, which is kind of a cool feature. So let's test our plugin. Let's see here. 386. So where did do I even have multiple? Select the Python interpreter. Select the interpreter. Select the workspace. Oh, let's do, yeah, the whole workspace. Python 386. Excuse me. I mean, I just did that, Visual Studio. Did you not remember that I just did that? Maybe I shouldn't do it for the workspace. Let's do it for the func info folder. Huh. All right, Visual Studio is not behaving. Maybe this one? No. All right, whatever. So we'll restart Binja, we'll open up a file, and I call it function table. Yeah. Didn't work. Did my plugin load? Oh, it's not actually linked to from anywhere yet, so it's in dev. Ninja plugins. This is how I usually do my kind of plugin dev, and that's why I have a hotkey bound to restart because it's really fast to trigger that. There it is, function table. And then it went away because I typed something else. All right, so we've got our basic report, and it shows us some stuff. Cool, but it's not really useful yet. So let's do what's on 3, 4. 3, commit shift 4, 5, commit shift 3. Sorry for the, there we go, making them closer. Closer to each other in the window layout. All right, so we're gonna have this. Let's see, what are the fields that we want to add? We're gonna call this function, and then we're gonna have, let's go back and look at the, where'd it go? Func scanner. Yeah, I like find restart. I mean, the other thing you can do too is you can control P, and it, because it's like recent, all the blue stuff that shows up here, by the way, are things that I've recently selected in the command palette. So because the command palette saves like a recency, that MRU sort of list, it's easy to get to from there. But yeah, I definitely bind it to a hotkey, and mine's, in fact, actually I just changed it off stream. It's meta control alt R because I wasn't sure what the hotkeys were on Linux, so I changed it there. You can see my current key bindings is the only things I've changed. So I've added a snippet editor hotkey, which it doesn't do by default because I use a snippet editor a fair amount. I mentioned I turned delete into a really nice way to, and which looks really good in high level IL. That was really funny to play around with, especially like for calls that actually have like lots of arguments being set up and return value, like all that you can just like dump with like one key, which is cute. Gynophage is the first person who like proposed that, and we tried it and it was like, yes, this is amazing. All right. XREFs, loops, and basic blocks. We'll start with that. Oops, wrong window. Function, XREFs, loops, basic blocks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 of those. And then the rows we're gonna do, right? We're gonna do these obviously for each function. So for fn in vb.functions. Yeah, the answer is always it depends. Depends on your hardware, depends on the types of binaries, it depends on your RAM, how much RAM you have available. Is it like a 15 megabyte binary where it's all code, or is it like a lot of resources? Does Binary Ninja start disassembling data as code and generate bad functions? That'll cause performance problems. So it very much depends on a lot of that. Yeah, open with options is a pretty good way to do that. So if you file open with options, this is sort of like a philosophical difference, is that we want the default use case to be as simple and as streamlined and generally do the right thing as possible, and then hide all of the like extra like bells and whistles and things you might want to tweak. Like where you can set them, you can change them. There's obviously a lot you can change about how the file is opened when it's analyzed. But by default, when you open a file, it's just like, well, just open the file, right? I don't want to click a bunch of times, which I think is something unfortunately a lot of the other RE tools out there don't prioritize that kind of workflow where you just want to open up a file and they default into like ask you a million questions. So I mean, there's arguments for like making people aware of the options that are out there because some people don't know about open with options because their default open just is sort of simple and automated, and that's just what they use. But all right, so for the functions, if we have functions, we're gonna get the function name. So name is equal to, and this is something that we used to not be able to do this, but you can just do function.name because the functions that end in sub underscore whatever, for example, this one, that function, that's like not a real name. That's actually kind of like this goat shadow name that it just assigns to things when they don't have real names. But the Python API treats it like it actually has a real name. So it sort of does that for us. So we don't have to worry about making one. The xrefs equals, let's see, how do we want to show the xrefs? Current function dot colors is just not calling convention, colors. There's no cross references to that one. So let's go to main. And like, I mean, that works. We could literally just do like a repr on that list and we could throw it into that field for like the simple first pass. So there's the cross references. Loops, we're going to leave empty for now. And AFM, I haven't tried the latest Ghidra, but supposedly they have improved the performance of it on the very, very latest. But it is Java, so I expect it will always be slower than other RE tools. But they did claim in the release notes that it gets faster. Basic blocks equals, and I think this is actually just a count, isn't it? Yeah, it's meant to be just a count. Okay, so that's even easier. So really, we just want len of function.callers. Loops we're going to leave to a second, and BBs is equal to len of function.basic blocks. All right. And I mean, honestly, we didn't even need to put these into variables. We could have really just done, wow, those glitches are fun. Y'all seeing that on stream? Yeah. What is it doing? That is like a GPU driver bug. All right. Are you going to be okay now? Nope. All right, hold on. Let's go here. It's just visuals. Yeah, this is an Electron bug. All right, so I'm going to temporarily just do it in Vim again. So I apologize for the font. Let me see if I can change it real quick. Color scheme. Desert's nice. Is that better? There we go. How about that? No, it's a dedicated GPU. It's a 16-inch MacBook Pro, but it's on the external. It's on an external USB-C dock going through a capture card. So who knows? How's that font look though? Can you all see that? Yeah. I think that one's more readable. That one looks like it doesn't have. Maybe the blues are hard to read. So yeah, let me know how that works. So we're gonna do this. Name. Xrefs. Loops. And we're actually making it 0 for now because it's all strings. And basic blocks. All right. And I mean, that should be it. That's all right. So let's restart it. Let's open up the binary. I got an error. Not showing up. All right, what did I do wrong? Report in unexpected indent. Oh, hold up. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know why I did that. I do need to turn on show hidden characters. I like that. All right. I don't see any complaints, so I'm assuming that color scheme works. But if somebody wants to let me know, that would be great. And there is a way you can also reload this plugin without doing that. I just prefer to do it this way. All right. So clearly I've done something wrong. Oh, well, one thing I need to do is do a new line here. All right. Yeah, that was all. Okay, that's just the missing new line. All right, so I've got our function, cross references, loops, and basic blocks, except something is weird with, because loops is empty, I bet. No, it shows that. Why am I getting that pipe between these two? Because I have an extra one right there that I missed. That's why. No points. Now I've looked. I know that I think the feed should only be lagging by like a second or two, so I don't have too much of a head start at catching my errors from you guys. Oh, is the header wrong too? That's funny. I hit Command P and enter again, and I meant to do that one. Okay. Yay. All right. But let's do like let's spice this up. All right. Oh, there's a couple things. So first, we want to. Although it's funny, that's Gmon start is because it's got underscores around it on both sides. It's actually being italicized in the. So really, we should probably do some sort of escaping for it. But again, this is just a little proof of concept. Let's go look at loops first. Backticks in in Markdown. That's a good point. That'll catch that, won't it? Actually, though, well, so I want to do more than that because what I'd like to do, and the nice thing with Markdown is you can intermix HTML. What I really want to do is I want to like make these functions clickable. And like, yes, again, I could make this a real table and add a whole bunch more code to do that. But I can do that with a Markdown report, which is way easier. It even tells us right here, like make a URL, Command C. That's what does that. I'm trying to copy it, and I hit Command C instead of Control C, and it pops open the settings. That's why that was coming up. So let's make these clickable, right? So let's make this. I'll still add that, and then I guess we'll do Markdown syntax. Control V is not. I'm still having trouble pasting in Linux. What am I doing wrong? Hey, Shift middle click worked. I'll take it. And I should just be able to do name again, right? Because the function name should still work for navigation. And this API will go through the navigation API, so that'll let me just like make it clickable. I hope. Let's find out. So I'll restart, open the file, FuncTable. Okay, obviously I did something with my escaping, but there we go, right? So I've gotten it working. I just need to end my quote there, right? Yeah. Oh, that did not do what I expected. Function there. I left off, put the backticks inside of the, yeah. Let's try that. God, the Markdown is the hardest part. Like I'm literally spending more time doing Markdown than I am on the Binja code. Ooh, there we go. Perfect. Control Shift V. Thank you, Levin. I appreciate that. Yeah, so like I've got my list, I've got my stats on my function list. Let's add in loops, and we've basically recreated this plugin way too fast because I've still got lots of time left on stream. So maybe I should drag out this part of it, make it look harder than it is. Where is the? There we go. All right, number of loops. Find complexity parsers. I mean, yeah. So like this is how do they do loop calculations? Are they doing like cyclomatic complexity, which is literally just like basic blocks and edge counts? And I will note, like literally, like this is how they're doing the calculation for IDA, which is like a single len of callers, right? Is the number of cross references. Successors, len of callees, right? You can count that. Or this is basic block based. That might actually be node basic block based, and we'll get to that. All right. So they're checking for loops. Like they've got this custom loop checking algorithm. I'm thinking we could probably implement this with dominators much more easily in Binary Ninja because we've got some APIs on that's a good point. And that's a property on the outgoing edges of the block, right? So let's look at where's me? let's look at this and we'll find a back edge, right? So here is, here's a basic block that has an outgoing, a backgoing edge. So current basic block dot outgoing edges, and there's only one, and it's a back edge. And is it a back edge? True. Yeah, so like literally just iterate through all blocks and create a count of all back edges or all blocks that have at least one outgoing edge or at least one back edge. I think we only want the blocks, but either one is probably an interesting measure of complexity. Oh, like a binary view loader? Yeah, like if I'm up for watching myself flail on stream. Or yeah, we should really just get Josh to start streaming again. All right, so I think I'm gonna do excuse me. So what we want for our thing, I think, here is to do 2 loops, right? So let's test this pro temper code for bb in current function dot basic blocks. For edge in bb dot outgoing edges, if edge dot back edge, we're gonna actually hear this, loops equals 0. If actually we can just do it this way, loops plus equals 1 and continue. All right, that should skip the inner one, and then we'll continue on counting the other blocks, right? So that should give us 2 in this case. And loops is now 2. Cool. All right. So that's what we're using this. So now what we want is def loop count function for bb in fn.basic blocks. Actually, loops equals 0. Yeah, we'll just rewrite it. We don't need to copy and paste it. It's that easy. If for edge in bb dot outgoing edges, if edge dot back edge, loops plus equals 1, continue. Return, not return 0, return loops. All right, loops equals loop count fn. And I think that should do it. I think we've implemented a, let's see, how big was this? That's a 352 line plugin in, oh, I need line numbers turned on. 30 lines of code. I'm sure they're doing a little bit more than that as well, but oh yeah, you want to turn it into a is that less comprehension there? Yeah, certainly could make it more concise if we want to go for fewer lines of code. All right, so let's restart it. Let's do bomb, which is a few more functions. Function table, and there we go. All right, let's find something with loops. This one has 6 loops. Phase 6 has 6 loops, and sure enough, I do see what looks like lots of loops, right? So we're looking specifically for these edges, right? Any back edges is a loop. And there we go. So, okay, so yeah, when I originally saw the loops thing, I was like, I don't know how useful it is, but now that I think about it, that is actually an interesting measure of complexity. That's a useful thing. So now the advantage of the other plugin that I didn't do here by cheating and just kind of using markdown reports is that I can't like change the sorting on these. Although there's some like JavaScript sorting libraries, and this is actually rendering into a full Qt web engine, so you could actually have this be a clickable table with like headers were sortable. But so Octacade, I think Brinley even mentioned earlier he did a tweet on that a while ago, but it's going to depend very much on the target, right? Like it's hard to predict. Yeah. So, Josh, counting loops in high level IL, you know what? Like I haven't done any high level IL scripting. Um, so I mean, is it gonna be? So let's see. If I should just be able to do in current high level IL, right? I mean, I could do it that way on the basic blocks of high level IL. Why is that not? Print loops isn't like that one. It looks like it's the same. If at least if we use the high level IL objects. I'm curious when. Yeah, we could do it on the specific types of operations. That's not a bad idea. Actually, I think I have um, update my snippets, please. So this is going to download all new snippets, and I think I have. Where is the? There's a snippet I posted here recently that counts. Oh yeah, it doesn't work unless you rename it. The binary ninja snippets. Just oh, so that's not really going to help us, but oops. Yeah, that's not the one I want. That is not the one I want. I still need to fix that one, I think. Yeah, actually, I wonder if I can paste the link. Or the other way you can do this is Octacade. If you join the Binary Ninja Slack, many of the folks on the chat are also there, and we can paste the link into that. All right. Oh yeah, I see. Brinley already mentioned that too. Good. I'm always pushing the Slack. All right. So there's our plugin. We've got a basic function table. Anybody else have any other thoughts? Like, what are other use? Oh, so here's a couple other things. Let's like while we're at this, right? This plugin is really easy to. Oops. Where am I? There am I. It's really easy to add additional properties too. Like, so we could add total bytes, and everyone who's heard me rant before knows that I don't like size because what does size mean in terms of functions? But there is a total bytes property, which is, one reasonable metric. So maybe you've got a function that's a massively large function that has one basic, like Mobfuscator, where it's got one basic block essentially. But it is, that's actually another good example too, where you might want to count the IL basic blocks separately from native assembly basic blocks. Because if you had a bunch of instructions like cmove, at the assembly level, it's going to be one basic block, but at an IL level, like logically, there is actual bunch of loops going on in there. So counting IL basic blocks would actually be another interesting stat. But again, I mean, this stuff is like super trivial to like extend. And again, we could rewrite this all as a one-liner. There's no need to even put these in variables. They're all so small, right? Like we could really just do this. Blocks, and then what was the other one we're going to put in? We're going to put in total bytes, fn.total bytes, and then our, We could also replace this as a one-liner and turn this whole thing into a 20 line script. Let's try our updated. We got some errors. See, that's what I get for writing something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? What'd I do? Got a missing brace somewhere. Count FN. There it is. Missing parenthesis. Double check the rest. Okay. One function table. Total bytes, right? So another nice property you might want to search for. Or maybe you want to like exclude things under a certain size. Like you may only care about ones of a certain kind of complexity if you want to filter out certain things. But yeah, cool. I think that the other suggestion was we should do a binary view. So I might work on something like that for a little while, unless anybody else has any other questions or ideas to add. I should move this here so I'm not looking way off to the side when I'm looking at chat. I need to put chat like by the camera so it looks like I'm like making eye contact. But yeah, Valgrind wants the binary view. So if you've got overlapping binary views, I mean that's probably Chase, I will not be writing Rust. I literally have never written a line of Rust in my life, unfortunately. There are several other people at Vector 35 who are really good at it, and maybe we can get some of them on stream sometime to play with it, but I am not the right person for that. Let me see if I can post links. Yeah, there's the sign up for the, I don't know if that link went through or not, but there's the sign up link for Slack. Yeah, so it won't be in Rust for sure. But yeah, Rust. Well, I mean, Rust bindings there are now 3 people who have written Rust code for Binary Ninja in the company. So we've got Kyle, we've got Rusty, and we've got Ryan that are all doing it. I know some other people have even been toying with it. I think Brian's been checking it out and playing with it. Any one of us would be much better than me. Take care, Josh. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, so back to the question about loaders. That's probably more like a question for somebody else. I don't know for certain as much about the internals on that. You could sort of like make a fake prefix or fake address, right? Like if they were overlapping addresses, you could just make a new high byte in the address that you could choose to put one of them at. Excuse me. The other way you can do it is you can do it with multiple segments. So actually, or multiple binary views. If you actually look at the NES loader, for example, here, which for example, here actually let's show this. I'll show how this works. Where's the raw view? What am I doing? Oh, raw. There it is. Save nes.py. Save it here. Here, so now we've got a NES loader, and then let's load a new thing. Let's go to Hone Adventure Z, since this is the reason we wrote this loader, was to analyze this file. In fact, even better, let's do the student zip. Let's download that. All right, so let's open downloads, Hone Adventure Z, because those are the .map file here, which is like a symbol file for NES files. And Binja actually knows how to read those. So the loader does. So this is a Python-based loader, which is also why the UI is a little more sluggish, and this thing is definitely a little slower than our normal binary views. But 6502 and ES-ROMs have banks, and so I don't know. I might move this up. Oh, yeah, I can't move it up because it's my tiling window manager. I think if I do this, I don't remember how to like do the tiling stuff yet. I'm still slow, still learning it. But in the views at the bottom where you normally can switch between the raw and the like ELF or whatever view, you'll see there's all these like separate like banks that are loaded, and so these are all at the same address, right? Like you can go to oh wow, there actually is a symbol for main. That's funny. So 0 contains the music page, so there's music stored at offset 0 on bank 0. And I can switch to bank 1, and that also should have a 0, right? And in the case of the 6502, I think the first page or there's a certain amount of memory that is mapped the same between all of the banks. So you can access super common things, which is why stuff like the music is there. There may be some other stuff, and I don't remember. It's been a while since we worked on this. But yeah, so you could do separate views, and then they're exposed that way, where you can access them down here. So I mean, I would argue this is different than what IDA does, because we actually are opening multiple at the same time and like creating them here where you can live switch to any of them, like, and they're all like, it is not still as nice as it could be. Like I would really like to be able to link between them. I want to be able to like, oh look, it's like have it do a switch view option where it does a bank switch and then it automatically goes to the view. Like that would be the dream, right? Where the 6502 architecture module. Oh, it's also worth pointing out, like this plugin is implementing the instruction set too. So like this Python file is everything you need to analyze NES-ROM files, including disassembly, lifting to IL, and parsing .NES files and loading them into memory. So you see it's even got like into some hardware interrupt stuff here, where it adds symbols at these for these values. So like it's, I forget how many lines, almost a couple hundred lines of code, but it does like all of that, and then all the example works here. So yeah, so like that I think is a little better. To clarify, there is also like if I open up my so if I grab a binls from my Mac, which is running Big Sur, right? Files, and then I bring this in, and I open that file, that's going to do something different as well. So this is another option where this does more like the IDA type thing, where it's like, okay, you opened up a universal fat Mach-O, which architecture do you want, right? Like just choose one. Where'd it go? It was under Mach-O, mode options, architecture, platform, I think. Is that where it is? I thought it was. Hold on. I think I'm doing something wrong. Open ls. So fat Mach-O files will let you choose between, maybe it's just here if I choose so it's only showing under platform. I thought this one had both. I thought for some reason this had both the x64 and like support for the M1 files as well. But either way, that's the other option, right? Is your binary view can say, oh, hey, I want to open up, I want you to force you to open up with options because I need to get some information from the user and make them choose the particular sub library or sub object that they want to parse out from there. So that's the other way you can do it. You can do that, or you can implement it the way it did in the and the NS-ROM again. Like you can go look at the code here, but it's basically, so parse the header, or is it going to pull up the banks? There's going to be so it counts the banks, and then there's going to be a loop where it's going to create symbols, some files. There we go. It's actually the bank creation occurs down here, right? So once you've and so this is only support for mapper 1 or whatever, like I forget exactly which mapper this was, whatever the original Zelda used, because that's the same hardware that we ran Pwn Adventure Z on. By the way, don't order any new. Well, actually, if you want to order the NES carts, now's the time. There's only 2 left, and we just reordered. But we actually sell like cartridges physically that'll work in NES with our Pwn Adventure Z on it. But there's 2 left now, so if you do want one for Christmas, get it now while the getting's hot. And actually, I do want to show. I was going to mention this at some point in the stream. Grab the image. So come on. I'm trying to find my fiber order. Here it is. Okay. Drag the image in. Okay. So there is something fun coming. Don't tell anybody about 35. I'm sure none of them are watching the stream right now, so I could totally get away with this, but working on a little side project here. And you'll notice, did that work? Yeah. There's a, this is our Benji character. This is not just the regular Benji. This is a 3D model of Benji. We got a 3D printer. So the actual NES cartridges aren't made anymore, Brindley. There's like a guy who has reproductions that he's redone, which are hardware compatible. And you can totally just buy your own and flash it yourself. Our ROMs are published and stuff, but it's infinite NES lives. This guy's great. Excuse me, although I think he's out of stock of the ROMs that we use, which is why I just found that out this morning. We went to go order some more because we were down to 2. But his stuff's awesome. He's got flashers you can dump and flash and load them onto the firmware. But anyway, back to Benji. So I got a 3D Benji model, and I'm looking forward to having little actual Benji figurines. And so what I want to do is, once I've actually got them tested and working on our 3D printer, I'm gonna like put a little Benji in someone's random web shop order as like a little surprise. It's like the king cake with like the little toy baby in it. You're gonna get like just a surprise Benji in your order. So I try to contain the amount of random Benji swag that I get throughout the year, but every now and then something exciting comes up. Yeah, Valgrind, let's see. It ends up in the trial view. What do you mean the trial view? Triage view? Why does, I think you need to return true. So yeah, like there's two parts to that. The first one is there's a default view. So yeah, there's this as well too. Yeah. So if you mean triage, there's a couple of different pieces to that. First, I think the binary view actually has to return true, and if it doesn't, it won't be switched to. Someone maybe from our 35 will correct me if I'm wrong on that. Oh, my stream stopped. I'm making sure that I gotta have my confidence monitor. So you gotta return true. Am I hearing myself very, very quietly? And then you can choose which the default view is. Yeah, default view for linear, default IL for affection, default IL for graph view. I think that's what it is. There may be something else. I'm trying to remember. Because again, a good example is I just opened up that NES file, and you'll notice this NES file is a Python plugin. I just loaded up, and it goes straight into linear view, which is my default linear high level IL in particular. Which, oh yeah, by the way, like linear high level, like it's decompiling 6502. I don't know how usable or readable it's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of potential issues with it, but it's kind of nice. Cool. Yeah, no worries. That's what the stream's for, catching stuff like that. And I only know that because, like I said, I've heard other people do it. Um, yeah, it's very common. Uh, so common that yeah, it almost is something that we should change in the API. Except I think it is probably the right thing to do. I don't know. But our garbage logs is 6502. Okay, so yeah, I don't know that I want to implement a yeah, I think we've probably answered most of your questions you were having. As opposed to implementing a new binary view. Oh, there's one other thing I want to do as well. I was gonna look at did we have any? I'll do it over here. Did we have any community plugin updates this week? I was going to check out. That's an open one. All right, so yeah, I think the only thing we haven't actually had any plugin updates in a whole week, and even Martin hasn't submitted anything new. He's usually super active with Ginja and Vuln Fanatic. Yep. So no new plugins to go over. What else? We could talk about Binja changes. We could do some more Q&A. I'm down for any other topics if you guys have, or we can always just end a little bit early. I don't want to just do nothing, but looking at the LLIL emulator, I think I covered that last week briefly. I don't remember how much time I spent on it though, because I had actually worked on it with Jamie, and degobfuscate, yeah. So degobfuscate, and by the way, just a quick note. Oh, you mean my virtual background back here? Sorry, I like doing that. So degobfuscator, real quick on this workflow is I could even actually make the depth of focus even a little tighter and make it look even more blurry, but I know, right? Like the crazy things these kids are doing technology. So if you click the title of a plugin, it'll take you straight to the GitHub page for it in your browser, which is a little shortcut there I wanted to mention. Yeah, I think it would be cool. Excuse me, if the IL emulation, and there's some more work that could be done on in terms of the IL emulator. Like for example, right now, I mean it has much of the pieces you would need to do a pretty generic IL emulator. And actually, I think Josh mentioned last week, emulator Watson. Yeah. So there's this. So Josh Watson's GitHub actually has emulator, which is another IL emulator, that might also handle a bunch of like that's a pretty robust IL emulator as well. So you could probably do something with this. This is actually probably a better generic IL emulator to start with. Yeah, a good camera helps. Although I do need a new lens on it. I think it's just the kit lens, but yeah, it's a little overkill. Nobody needs to see my face, right? Like I should really just yeah, get rid of that screen. Or I guess I could just pull out the background entirely, drop a real green screen and pull out of it. But so oh yeah, this is like a Sony A6400, which is why I can do stuff like this. Oh wait, now it's exposure. I don't want that. I want this. There. Whee. The best purchase for this thing was an $8 remote on Amazon. That because otherwise I was fiddling with it constantly to get focus right. And this I can just hit a button to focus, which is super, super handy. It's complete and utter overkill for conference calls. And then I have the mic here. I have a separate camera here. Yeah. No, my setup is entirely unnecessary for just screencasting, which is really all I need to do, right? And even my screen capture, I actually have so this is my dedicated stream box with OBS, and it's got an HD60 capture card pulling off of, so my actual laptop output through the dock goes through the capture card into my monitor. Yeah, complete and utter overkill and completely unnecessary. But I will say, like, when I do my speed cubing Twitch streams, see, like, then those two cameras are handy. I can use it for that. Anyway, so I think this IL emulator, it's about Josh's not here around to talk about it if he knows of any shortcomings, would be a better generic foundation. Actually, yeah, he should totally. This is not even an actual plugin, I don't think, is it? Okay, we're gonna go file an issue here. See, this is great because Josh, when he used to do Ninja streams, if you found a crash, sometimes he would file the bug on stream. And so now that I'm doing a Ninja stream, I get to go back to his stuff and file a bug. Okay, so the only downside is I'm not logged into GitHub, and it probably would ever be on my stream box. But if y'all go look at that stream or look at that that GitHub repo, I'm gonna go file a bug over on my other machine. All right, there we go. Now I've successfully filed a bug on Josh's repo during a live stream to return the favor. So he does have some other. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. So he's definitely thought about this a little bit, right? So he's looking at, like, it would be great if you could start your memory model with the current memory map, and then, you know, make read and write changes kind of like shadowed on top of that. Yeah, dealing with mapping segments is pretty easy. Like, read and write segments back through the native file and saving off kind of copies would totally be doable. Would not be, I don't think, that hard at all to do it inefficiently anyways. Yeah, and I don't remember if emulator, I don't think he has like any kind of UI elements on it as well. But that was the other thing, so it might be nice to add as this UI. So yeah, I think that would be the one to do. An IL emulator on top of, or, you know, if Josh isn't gonna do anything with it, you could fork it and it's MIT, right? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, exactly. A debugger like UI. So the other thing to check out is SE Ninja, Symbolic Execution Ninja, because that one is also somewhat similar to an IL emulator, right? In that it's symbolically executing instructions. And that one, let's find a good. This will work. So I tried to use this on stream the first week. Start symbolic execution. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, and then there's this like show. Yeah, okay. So let's start symbolic execution. Okay. Now let's show buffers. Let's show memory. What was the other one? Stack. Show. Oh, other docs I've seen it just show registers. Yeah, okay. Actually, let's put memory in between here. Might cramp that a little bit. Yeah, it's as narrow as that wants to go because of all these UI elements here. Actually, why is that? It defaults to like 32 byte wide. Yeah, you can't get to those. All right, so if we look at, let's go back to like assembly. And I think we can SE Ninja branch. We killed it. Like I said, I haven't actually used this one a whole lot. So I don't know what we needed, but this actually has, you'll notice some other UI elements that are similar to the debugger, right? So you've actually got virtual register state, and you've got memory. You can put a new buffer and put it at a certain location if you haven't already triggered an exception in the plugin and broken it. But yeah, I think like having like a debugger UI for symbolic execution and or IL emulation would be nice. I don't know about SE Ninja. That's a good question. I mean, so anything in the action system you can definitely trigger. I mean, it's also it's open source, right? So you can let's see. This one's BSD2 clause, like, so you can change it if it's not currently exposed, but that one anything in the action system you can trigger via the API, even if it's not already otherwise exposed. But then you can also just call into whatever methods it's got, whatever it exposes, you can add them. Oh, in the debugger itself? Yeah, the debugger you absolutely can. So the Binja debugger. Binja debugger, I would say, still needs some work. But actually has several nifty features that I think are better than some other debuggers, but in general, it's just not as well tested. Some of the things it does, though, is it can find and start analyzing code like outside of the binaries module. And just start analyzing it in like the graph view. And it can even, if you step into like say there was a function that wasn't identified in Binja's linear sweep, or a jump table that was missed, and you actually trigger execution into it, Binja will update itself. So yeah, Endeavor, good to hang out. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go much longer as well, so no worries. But here's a good example where you can totally interact with this. Oh, here we go. That's right. The debugger has a whole. No, that's not what I want. I want the other one. Where's the documentation? Yeah, so there's a thanks GitHub, that's very helpful. I just like Markdown's dead. There's actually a pretty robust set of user documentation. So headless mode, right? So here are debugger automation you can use, and you can actually get, even in the scripting console, you can get the debugger object and interact with it this way, because that's how we do some of our own regression testing on it. So yeah, the Binja debugger can definitely have some automation there. It's Binja. Of course we would make everything expose via an API. It's kind of like our, yes, speed is also I agree. And that's because it's written in Python. So all the logic is Python right now. At some point it would be nice to include some native code for the backend for debugging, and or for integration with the native debugging backends, and for elements that are slower, right? Like updating all of like the memory views. So we're not in it now, but if we actually debug something, not using symbolic execution, but just Binja debugger. Do I have the debugger installed? I don't think I do. I don't even know if I have the latest one. It actually might not be. I don't know if this debugger needs updating or will work. Let's see. No errors. Debugger. All right. That's working. But yeah, like all these views, like these views here being implemented in Python, oof, yeah, like look at that. Like that latency is, it's definitely slower than it should be. Because it's got these relatively complex UIs that it's doing in Python. It'd be nice if those were native. I agree. It's something that we'll hopefully get back to, I think, in 2021. One of the possibilities is, so Andrew and Glenn were the two people that worked on the debugger plugin. Glenn is currently working on collaboration along with Josh, and the use case for automation, Levin, are you asking me, or are you asking for like the API, or for which? So Glenn and Josh are currently working on collaboration, and Andrew is working on the AR64 stuff. So thanks for a lot of people that have been committing code. they're making a bunch of changes. He's written a brand new automated lifter that works on the ARM specification, extracts all its disassembly. And we've got a lot of lifting from the community, as well as he's done a bunch. But he's about to be done with that. And one of the things that we've considered him working on next would be back to the debugger to work on it some more. Oh, cool. Hey, Starfleet Cadet. Oh, nice. So somebody saw on the stream, Starfleet Cadet saw on the stream last week that we were playing with the IL emulation for the XOR deobfuscation, and apparently was talking about building one for a microcorruption challenge. I think that was, if you read Josh's emulator README, I think that was part of his original goal. I want to say, maybe it's not in here, but I seem to recall at one point that was part of his rationale for emulator. Was the same thing that he built this when he was working on some microcorruption stuff. So yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see that Starfleet Cadet. That would be fun. Cool. All right. Well, instead of starting up anything new, I think I'm probably gonna close up. Anybody else have any last questions or? Make sure you stay hydrated. Hydro gang, everybody take a. It is interesting all the trends in like streaming and folks. Yeah, Chase, you're welcome. It's good to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody that hung around for the last couple hours. And as always, the full VOD will be up on YouTube immediately afterwards, and I'll update it with some timestamps of the different sections. So good to see everybody, and we'll catch you next week.